Especially in the tourism sector, we could only start to see it in Q4 of 2020, and a lot of the recovery, probably real recovery, coming back 2021. What are you hearing tourism practitioners saying is more realistic for Egypt right now?
Okay, let's break it down a bit. So for Egypt, the winter season in this part of the hemisphere on Earth, the winter, which starts from September, October, and going all the way to, from December to January, that's the peak season in terms of tourists. It's where the entire world is freezing, and Egypt is a bit warmer than most parts of the world. That's the peak season, and this is where we're seeing a gradual appetite and an increase, as I told you earlier, in bookings from tourists from Europe specifically, all around the November, December, and January season. We're talking about the Christmas and New Year holiday season. This is where Egypt is starting to see, it's nothing significant, it's nothing to be compared to the same season last year, but it is an indication that there is an appetite that will be growing gradually. UK, for example, one of Egypt's most visited citizens or tourist sources is still banning its citizens, or at least recommending against traveling to Egypt at this part of the year, and at the current status under the COVID-19 pandemic. So there are key touristic providers who are not still encouraging their citizens to come here, but it is a step. What will be 2021 like? It is going to be slow. This is what everyone in the tourism sector thinks, especially that we're talking about starting January, the peak season for Egypt's tourism in general fades away, and therefore the year will begin slow, and there wouldn't be really much of appetite until we go back to the spring season and into the summer season, where we get more tourists that used to come to Egypt at these times as well. So it is too early to say, it's too early to judge. 2021 will most probably not be going back to normal. Egypt was speculating some 15 million tourists this year. Of course, that all goes in vain and in pain for the government in revenues that were expected to be around 16 billion US dollars this year. And 2021 is not expected to be by any means to be compared to last year, where the country had roughly about $14 billion in revenues from the tourism industry. But at least it's a start, and it's something that the country is hoping a lot and putting a lot of expectations, hoping that this will be one of the backbones that will support the economy as it crosses over the pandemic's repercussions and the impact it had on the economy.
Adel, thank you so much. As you're saying, not at the levels that were expected, but at least some of those tourists coming in, and that is very encouraging. Adel Emirouhi, thank you so much for joining us. That was Adel Emirouhi joining us live from Cairo, Egypt. And we're going to stay in Egypt now, where some professionals have lost their jobs because of the coronavirus pandemic. Businesses have been forced to shut down or operate at 25% capacity, and that includes a Cairo-based theater. And as Wilke Sanyawa now reports, economic recovery for this entity is a no-show.
The novel coronavirus has in recent weeks brought global operations to a standstill. Businesses are counting operational losses due to various government-imposed restrictions aimed at combating the pandemic. In Egypt's Cairo-based theatre, Sitara, the case is no different. Members of the group were forced to cancel all scheduled performances, acting workshops and school trips. Despite many businesses opting to use online platforms, Sitara was shut down in fear of the spread of the disease.
Hi, I'm Emma Davis, and I'm the Artistic Director of Sitara Theatre. We provide theatre for families in Cairo, and sadly today, because of coronavirus, we are shutting down, hopefully temporarily.
It all looks very grim and depressing. The idea of having to put everything away in storage feels very heavy. It's a difficult feeling to describe.
The austerity measures put in place have cast uncertainty over the country's economic recovery as job losses continue to surge. Tourism and other vital sectors have been crippled, hitting the economy hard and slowing down growth forecasts.
The psychological impact is huge, especially since we're performing artists. We mainly rely on live performances. We can't come together, we can't work on new material. I don't even see anyone anymore, let alone be able to perform a live show.
I have been looking for a job ever since. Employment opportunities are few for managers, even for the staff, because now everyone is back to working with a lesser capacity than the usual flow of any restaurant or cafe.
According to Egypt's statistics agency, unemployment stood at 9.2% in April. The country has so far registered more than 89,000 cases of coronavirus, although the number of new cases has fallen in recent weeks. As Egyptians grapple with job losses and pay cuts amid the pandemic, many remain hopeful of better days to come. Wilkis Anyabwa, CGTN.
In Libya, warfare has stopped for now in the capital, Tripoli. However, long power blackouts caused by years of poor maintenance are still causing misery in that country. Here's CGTN's Mohammed Abubakar with more on how Libya's electricity outage is affecting all segments of life, from the economy to relaxation to healthcare.
With temperatures reaching unusual highs, power cuts have become an almost constant feature in Libya. In recent months, the oil-rich North African nation has been plunged into darkness, sparking protests.
This electricity crisis has become part of our daily lives. Power is cut in the morning, in the afternoon, and even at night.
They have left us in a miserable state. There is no water and no light. There are sick women and sick children. There are those who rely on ventilators to breathe. So if you cut the electricity, then you cut their ventilators. They say there is no money. No, they have money. Where are all the billions taken for the maintaining of the stations?
The General Electricity Company of Libya tries to manage the blackouts by rationing power supply in different towns. However, the state power supplier says it's struggling to meet the increasing demand as demonstrators storm electricity facilities.
The electricity problem is shown in the fact that there isn't enough supply to meet the increasing demand on the network. This results in several projects placed on hold and that have not been completed, spare parts that have not made it to storage. There is also a lack of guidance on electricity usage and a lack of solutions to help solve many of the problems faced by the workers.
Since April last year, most cities in Libya have had only intermittent power. Some areas are suffering